Rita to the rescue. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, this is kind of a weird day because I wasn't feeling well yesterday. I'm feeling fine today, but I had I was doing a lot of like cerebral stuff yesterday, and I just realized, oh, I don't feel so great, but I wanted to do this class because I have learned so much about infusible ink. Now, I've known about infusible ink for I think it's 3 years now, and I've done it many times on polyester or on sublimation blanks. Okay. Hi, Eileen. Oh, I'm glad you're back. Yeah, I haven't used infusible ink in a long time. True. And also, I know that it can be used on polyester or specially coated materials, such as the coasters that are both ceramic and the other one. One of the things that I learned when I first learned about infusible ink was that it wouldn't work well on, or it wouldn't work. That was the thing. Wouldn't not work on things that are natural. So wood, cotton, wool, that sort of thing. And so, in doing my research, I was like, well, okay, polyester's great and all, but I'm sort of a natural girl. I like cotton, and I like wool, and I just like breathable fabrics, that sort of thing, newness, naturalness, I should say. So I started thinking, well, what can I do? And so I did a little research on wood. Now, wood is natural, so that means it has pores, and much like our alcohol inks from yesterday, because it's porous, it's not gonna. I'm thinking, oh, it's just not gonna work. Like it's not gonna take. Right? So the first thing I learned is that yes, indeed, it will work, but the results are going to be different. And you can treat the wood as well. So I wanted to show you a few of these. This one is really terrible. And so I'm showing it to you because I want you to know, like, when we are making things, sometimes things don't go as planned. And so, do you give up or do you keep going, try different things? Well, I come from a background of like an experimenting background, having taken a lot of like science and things like that in college. So I realized, if it fails once, learn from the mistake and come back. So the first thing that I tried was using polycrylic on this, okay? And that seemed to be a good idea. However, when I was trying to decide what settings to put this on, so this is a piece of wood. You guys know I get this wood. I kind of steal it from Sancho. He actually cut these ones. So he cut me these sort of, I don't know what they are, 16 inches by like about 4 inches, right? And so I'm like, okay, I want to make a sign with this. So I was looking at it and I thought, okay, well, maybe the infusible ink needs like a base that it can go on. And so what I did was I coated this with polycrylic, since I had, what are you doing, little boy? What are you doing? He's coming over to look for things. So I did coat this with the polycrylic. Unfortunately, when I went to do the temperature, I set it way too high and for too long. I decided that I was going to use the coaster settings, which is like 400 degrees. All right. He's looking for something to eat. Like 400 degrees, and it's like for 3 minutes. Bad move because as I'm looking at it from the side, it's like all bubbling up here. And I'm thinking, oh, this is not a good deal. So you can see actually, I did this side first, right? And then I was like, oh no, that did not work well. So then I moved it over and I only did it for like 60 seconds. And I do like that. What are you doing, buddy? No, no, no. He keeps stealing my infusible ink. Okay, so I do like this, but it still got really bubbly. So then I said, okay, wait a second. I think what I'll do is not put a coating on this. And I will try it without the coating to see if it works. Well, so then the next one I came up with was this. Now, this looks really nice, but it's not vibrant. And I think people are like thinking, well, infusible ink's very vibrant, and it's not. And I guess if you want to go the natural route, you have to be happy with a muted look, which is what this is, and perhaps make, instead of choosing lighter colors, choose something a little darker. Okay, so that was this. And I thought, okay, that's cool. Then I heard something about, well, if you use laminating sheets, if you use laminating sheets like from a lamination machine, then it will stick better and be darker. So I did use laminating sheets here, and I'll tell you what, I must have used the wrong laminating sheets because I used the self-laminating sheets and it is super sticky. The only thing that I did notice is that it is a little bit brighter, but I was thinking, I don't know. There's a lot to go into here as far as a coating versus not a coating. So that's where I came from, putting this into two different classes. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about doing it natural, right on the you have to use heavy pressure. Okay, so Christiana has tried this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just work on this wood natural with infusible ink, and we're going to sort of see what the results are from there. And then on Monday when we come back, hopefully I'll have time to try the lamination sheets, and I actually got some more wood that is not painted, so I'm thinking, well, that might work, that are heat set. Okay, so, right. So, Jamie, what I used the first time was, that made it super sticky, was the self-laminating. So it was not heat set. Okay. So that's what caused this problem. But I think, and I have gotten more laminating sheets, and these are the ones that are heat set. And also I got some plain wood, because the other thing too here is that this wood is primed, but it's not painted. It's not painted, it's just primed. Primed is a little bit different. It's not nearly as thick. So that's another thing to try, is will it work on painted, such as acrylic painting? So what I want to do is I want to paint and also try the laminating sheets on the plain wood. So in this case, this is a primed piece of wood. And this is actually natural, this side. And this is what I would call a defect. So these two things did not come out well. So instead, I figured, okay, today we're just going to talk about using infusible ink on wood without any extras, so that you can kind of see if you like this style, then that's okay. It kind of looks weathered and sort of interesting. And if you like that look, then that's what this particular class is going to be about. And then on Monday, the class will be about how to get more vibrant prints out of infusible ink. Yes, Renee. That's what I was doing. But I didn't. Again, I wasn't feeling that great, so I didn't mess around too much on a polyacrylic um, at a lower temperature and time. So I think that this is going to actually work out if I change the temperature. But today, let's just focus on the basics of infusible ink and like how to cut it, how to peel it, all of that stuff. And we will put it on a piece of wood that is natural. It has a little bit of prime on it, but it's natural. So let's talk about infusible ink because some of you have used it, some of you maybe haven't used it in a while. So what this is, infusible ink is a kind of iron-on, but it's basically Cricut's answer to sublimation. So if you are interested in sublimation, and maybe you've never heard of sublimation, but sublimation is basically a printer that is dedicated to using special inks that the ink will transfer from an ink like a liquid, or really it's dried, but a liquid ink that when heat is applied, it will turn into a gas. And then that gas will be sublimated. It will infused to whatever your surface is. And that it holds true. This is a great product if you don't want to invest money in buying a sublimation printer. Now, I do have a sublimation printer, but it's actually on loan to my friend Wendy because we were playing around with it. All right, all right. The post person is here. And she's dropping off a pack. So they really don't want a post person here. Anyway, so this is an excellent product if you don't want to invest money in a sublimation printer, and then you have to get special paper and you have to get special ink, and it's quite expensive, for the average crafter. And Cricut tends to go with the home crafter, although they do lately have been appealing to a more professional crafter, somebody who turns it into a business and all of that. So when this came out, it was sort of like the answer to sublimation. Now, a lot of people jumped ship and went on to the sublimation and they got a sublimation printer. But for the most part, most people have just stuck with infusible ink, or they've just given up entirely and haven't used it, which is fine. But I have quite a collection of infusible ink, so I figured it's time to sort of start looking at different ways to use it. So what I'm going to do is show you how to use it based on the regular settings, okay? So here is my oh, good idea, Christiana. So Christiana's saying it's good for patterns. So yeah, patterns are a good idea. And there is actually a buffalo plaid pattern that I really like that we could maybe use on Monday. All right, because that's another technique with infusible ink. So I went on a search for some items. Now, the thing about infusible ink is that it doesn't come any bigger than 12 by 12. So when I wanted to use this piece of wood, which is approximately 16 inches, right, by 4, I was thinking, okay, I can only really get 12 by 12, really 11 and a half, right? So I decided to make my own image. And you see here, I've got this. It says hello winter and has a few little starbursts that are supposed to be snowflakes. And then I went and got a few snowflakes and sort of put them around. And so what I was able to do was increase the length by cutting it in 2 pieces. So you can see here, I will have the end product is, the end product, what are you doing? There we go. come on. Well, the end product is going to be larger than the 12 inches. So that's a way to sort of get around the fact that the infusible ink is 12 by 12. So because this is a maximum of 4 inches, and as you can see down here, we'll look at the size, it's 11 and a half, which is as wide as I can go on an infusible ink transfer sheet, and 3.8 inches high. So this is the 4-inch high. So that's what I did. So so here is the main thing, and then on the side I have some snowflakes. So what I'm going to do here is, because I'm using my Joy to cut this, is I'm going to cut these two separate cuts. Now, infusible ink in any machine does require that you use a mat. There's no smart infusible ink, okay? So I am going to be using this 12-inch mat that I'm going to use on the Cricut Joy. The first thing that I want to do is, before I get started, is I do want to make sure that my Joy is hooked up and also attached in design space. So here is machine selection. I do have Joy selected, and then I'm going to also go to my settings and make sure on Bluetooth that my Joy is connected. Those two things people always forget, so I figure, you know, it's a good idea to mention them. All right, so we'll go here. We're looking at the canvas, and we'll go make it. Now I have 2 different mats here, okay? And what I need to do first is I need to make sure that this is on a mat. So I'm going to choose, it automatically defaults to without, so I'm going to choose on mat, okay? And the other thing that I need to do is mirror these. So I'm going to toggle the switch for mirror. And then this one here also is on the mat. And I am going to mirror, so it doesn't really kind of matter, but it's just kind of a thing that you have to remember to do when you have letters. And this one here, I mean, I could move these around a little bit if I wanted to make good use of my materials. So if I did this, I might get, you know, use less material, okay? So there's this mat, and then there's my other mat. You see that it is mirrored, okay? Because it is still iron on. There's, you know what? And Annette brings up a really good point. Is there an advantage? There really isn't. But I have a lot of material, and I have a lot of infusible ink, and I just don't want to see it just sit. So I always want to use what I have rather than having to go searching for new and different products. And so there you go. 2 to 3 coats allowed to dry 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so this will be good because we'll work on that coming into the new year. We'll work on it on the 2nd of January, which is Monday. All right, so let's go ahead and hit next. And we're going to, let's work on this one first. It's our biggest piece. And we're going to go and hit all materials. We're going to scroll down to iron on. And we're going to look for infusible ink. Oops, I did it wrong. Infusible ink transfer sheet right here, okay? I am going to do remember material settings because I need to remember them. So let's prepare the infusible ink before we go, because you have to prepare for it, right? And you have to get it all cut out before you're ready to heat it up. So let's move this over a little bit. So here is infusible ink. There are 2 different kinds that you can get. Actually, there's probably 3. You can get a solid color one that just has 2 sheets of a solid color. And then you can do the patterned ones. There's 2 patterns in this. So you can see that these are the colors on this one. And you'll see it's sort of a continuum. So this is like an ombre kind of a look. And this one's got sort of a model, a modeled look to it. Okay. Obviously the best deal is with the 4 pieces. So, so I did buy a lot of these 4 pieces. So what you get inside, and I've already opened this up, so, and used some, is that you're going to get 4 or 2 sheets of Infusible ink. And here I have 2 remaining from my 4. Now it's a little hard to tell about the colors, but clearly if it's darker, it's going to come out darker. So so if you use this, it's going to be very, very light color. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll try to use the darker color on this. And also when you get the box, you're going to get these, which is butcher paper. Okay, so we're going to need that in a second. But the first thing that we need to do is cut this for our Infusible ink. Now, I could probably get away with not cutting it, but I wanted to just kind of show you how that works. So, this is one of the best tools to have, especially if you have a Joy, because you're having to cut down product to size. Hey, hello. Stop, please stop. I had an encounter with a pit bull yesterday. It wasn't a bad encounter. My neighbor has a pit bull, and oh my God, this dog, who's only a year old, has the hugest head. Oh my goodness! And he must have got out, and he ended up at my front door because of my dogs. So I went out there with a leash, and I was like, wow, this dog's head is so huge. And I thought, is he going to hurt me? Nah, he's not going to hurt me. So I put on the leash, and I trotted him over. Wow, what a powerful dog. So different than working with corgis, man. All right, you guys, please be quiet. So you see, I did cut this to fit on my Joy mat, and it sticks really well. It's 4.5. The clear, see this side here, this is the transfer material. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut out. Now, this here, it's a very papery feel because it is paper. It's basically paper that has ink impregnated on it, okay? And the ink will turn to a gas when heat is applied. So this is really kind of simple, like cutout. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to open up my Joy. And I'm going to I want to get it inside. I'm going to move it here through the holes or through these guides right here. I know I'm going to have a little problem in the back here. I have so much stuff. Okay, so it's all ready to go. Just making sure it's on there well. And I'm going to hit go. And it's going to cut out my design in a mirrored fashion. So let's watch that happen. Sorry, I was just watching the comments. So, I don't know, there was some kind of a troll on. That happens, oh well. And we also have, today we have Christiana, who has a lot of experience in Infusible ink and things that have to do with being pressed. So I'm glad that she's here today in the comments. Thank you, Christiana. So, so when we are done cutting this, we'll take it out and I'll show you how to weed it, okay? It's pretty amazing, this little machine, I think. Crazy. So, so it cuts it really well. There's really nothing much to talk about here except that it's pretty quick, and this is what your end result's going to be. So you can see the cutouts here. And then I do hit unload, and now I can move my my joy over because I have also cut out the different snowflakes. Okay, so let's take this off of our mat. I'm going to move the camera a little bit. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to weed this. Now, it's a little different weeding this than it is for using iron-on. So just be aware of that. It's more like working with paper. So one of the things you want to be thinking about is you want to keep your design fairly simple. Something that is very, very specific with lots of letters and lots of details can be a little problematic if you're not used to working with infusible ink. So how to weed it is you're going to sort of roll it. It's very similar to if you work with smart paper, you're going to just kind of roll it and remove the parts that you want on there. Enough already, please. And so you'll see that it's sort of sticky here, a little sticky here. So let us go and start weeding this. So I find using it like in just sort of like getting an area started and then sort of rolling the paper out this way and getting the majority of it off works out well for me. Might not work for you, but that's how I do it. So you see here, I'm starting to remove the pieces that I don't want. Now, if you're crazy about scraps, you can keep these things if you want, but it does not have the transfer sheet below it, so just be careful if you're reusing scraps. And we're just peeling it off. It's got a real paper feel to it. And here we go. Now, sometimes things will come off like this. That's okay. Just sort of get it back down on there. It will stick to the backing, okay? And keep at it. Don't get frustrated, or come back if you get frustrated, right? It's supposed to be fun, by the way. This is supposed to be fun. Oh, speaking of fun, we have our winner, our Friday winner. On Fridays, we pick a winner from people who are following me on the Cricut community. If you don't know about the Cricut community, you should, because it's a free sort of like social media type of thing from Cricut, where you're able to share projects and see other people's projects. It's really fun. And so as a way of me buying in and really just sort of wanting everybody else to do it, if you follow me on the community once a week, I choose a winner, and that winner will receive a Cricut Cutie, as well as a few other things that I have in my studio. So I'm going to announce who this winner is. I think I might have seen the person already. Now, when you weed, sometimes this little bit of paper is here. It shouldn't affect anything, but I'm a little OCD about it, so I usually just kind of scrape it off. It doesn't really affect anything, but it's just sort of my habit. So in between here, it's just part of the paper. It doesn't actually have any ink on it, but I don't know. I'm weird like that, I guess. So here is our design. Now I've also cut out using other pieces of infusible ink. So here are our different cutouts of the snowflakes. So let me just show you how this works out. So these are actually 2 sets. Let's move these over. And I chose, let me just tell you, this is called Distressed Cool Water, but you could choose anything you want. And as I mentioned, if you go with the darker colors, you're going to get a darker design. It's still going to be muted because you're working on a natural surface. Okay, so let's just go ahead and read these so that we can have them for our setup. All right, almost done, almost there. One, and here's the next one. I sure hope this thumb gets better in the new year. I mean, it's getting better, but oh my God, I didn't ever realize how much I used my left thumb until I started, until I cut it so badly with this brand new knife. And I have to tell you, like I actually took this brand new knife from a set of knives that I bought for my sister. These Cuisinart colored ones, and they're just beautiful, beautiful knives. But I noticed this year the set had a paring knife, but when I got them like a year or 2 ago, they didn't have a paring knife. So I saw them and I thought, I'm going to steal the paring knife out of my sister's before I even give it to her for Christmas, right? Well, don't you know that then I cut myself so badly with that paring knife that it was sort of like, I don't know, karma, that like you shouldn't be taking things that are gifts and using them. And so, yeah, I ended up with a really deep cut on my finger that I probably should have taken a look at. Maybe they would have put some stitches in or something, but I didn't. All right, so you see here we've got our Hello Winter part with the little snowflakes there, and then we have these lighter colored snowflakes that we're going to use on either side to sort of extend the project. Let me get my piece of wood. Again, this is the natural one. It has nothing on it other than the prime that it came with. This is a primed. It's a like 4 inches tall, 1 inch thick, and he cut them at 16 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm going to see which side looks better. This side looks better. And I'm going to sort of decide how I want to place this sort of in the middle, like this, right? And then I want to put these on the side. However, I need to cut through this a little bit to make room for those snowflakes. So I'm going to do that. Just lift it up. Meanwhile, just so that you know, my sister did get the paring knife. So I was like, I don't ever want to use that again, even though it was like super sharp, super brand new. All right. So here we go. So I cut through on the left and right side so that I can put down my snowflakes. You could do it a different way if you want. I'll show you. You could take these off individually, but I designed this so that I could just put these 3 snowflakes, a piece of glitter here, but I could take these 3 snowflakes and just kind of put them here to extend my design. So there's that. And the same over here. And the reason why I cut it out is because if I didn't, this part of the ink wouldn't be touching the wood. Okay. So there. Let's have a look and make sure that it is correct. And it is. I think it's as correct as it's going to be. Now we're on to using the heat press. Okay. So let me grab my heat press. Now this is an Easy Press 3. Which uses its own heat guide settings, but when I'm doing something that's unusual, that isn't part of a setting, it doesn't kind of work for me. So look, this is the Cricut heat setting, and I'm going to turn my machine on, and it will say, okay, it's connected, start new project. So on this project, I choose Infusible ink transfer sheet. Okay. And all I have here are these blanks to choose from. So my original thought was, well, a coaster maybe. But then I started thinking about it and I thought, I think that might be too much pressure or whatever. So I decided to use an aluminum sheet. Okay. And then I hit next, and I could do this tutorial, but I don't want to do it. And so it says 385 and do it for 40 seconds. Okay, so I am going to change my settings to 385, and I do that by just pressing on here, or and change it to 385, or I could just do send settings to the Easy Press. So that's the difference between an Easy Press 3 and the other Easy Presses, is that you can use this guide, so you don't have to look it up. All right, so it's heating up to 385. What we want to do is now, to get set up for this, is we want to get some of this butcher paper. Now, I have learned, because they were very, very specific butcher paper, but I've learned that butcher paper is just a little bit thicker than parchment paper, or I don't know, thicker or thinner. It feels like it's thinner, but somebody said it was thicker. But if you can't find any butcher paper, which you can now buy, by the way, in this container, butcher paper, 15 sheets, right? It's just that. But I think that's kind of expensive. So if you want, you can just use parchment paper as a substitute. Now, and I have here, look, I have my heat press pad. Now, our design is bigger than the Easy Press. And since not a lot of people own the Auto Press, I thought I would just show you how this works out with the smaller Easy Press. An Auto Press would take this whole thing and would work out okay, but I just feel like, let's use the Easy Press because it's what most people have, and we'll just kind of work around it. The thing about Infusible ink is you don't want to move the design too much. So if you feel like it's going to move, like it's not stuck on there really well, which mine is, you might want to tape it down. And if you are going to tape it down, do definitely use the heat resistant tape. Okay, so we don't have to preheat this. We do need to sort of sandwich this with our butcher paper, which is what I'm doing. I'm going to actually do this side first, and then I'm going to very carefully lift it up and move it over to the right side. Okay, so here is our Easy Press. 385 for 40 seconds. and I'm going to place it on there, trying not to move it, and I hit the little play button, and we'll wait for the 40 seconds. While we're waiting for the 40 seconds to go, I wanted to announce who the winner is for the Friday community cutie profile or community cutie giveaway. And that is Renee Causey. I thought I saw Renee, but it might have been the other Renee. Um, all right, so that's the 40 seconds. Now I do need to be careful, so I'm going to put this over, and I'm just going to kind of lift and move this without trying to get this anywhere else. And put it on this side and hit 40 seconds. Now again, remember, we're going to come at this next time. And she's here. Okay, good. Renee, you're here. Oh, Renee, so what you have to do is send me an email at missritatotherescue@gmail.com and make sure you give me your address. And this weekend, since I have a kind of a long weekend time and it's a holiday, I am tackling all of the things that need to go out to the mail, although I don't think Santa will be able to mail them on Monday because I think it's a holiday. So I am going to get all those things that I owe you guys done this weekend. I'm setting my intention. Okay. All right. So let's take the paper off. Sometimes you can reuse this paper. This one you can, because there's no ink that got in there, but it's mostly, the butcher paper is mostly to preserve, from any kind of ink that might be straying, but there are also other reasons to use it as well. But that's just, sometimes you have to look at your paper and say, I can't use that again. So here we go. Let's lift it up and see what we get. Pretty cool. Now I want to show you this. See on the back here, I noticed that not a lot of ink from here has transferred. It's a little muted, but because I'm using sort of a pattern, it kind of looks pretty cool. The snowflakes, this snowflake actually transferred really well, but this one not so much. Okay, now you can't reuse this. If you wanted to, if I wanted to, I could go back and try to sort of line this up and see about putting it there, but you do have to be careful that it's lined up really well. So let me see if I can't do that. I think it shrunk a little bit, so I don't know that that's going to work out. But if you wanted to, you could try that. But I got to tell you, I'm actually pretty pleased with this. I think this is definitely a different look than what we did yesterday, which is a very bold look. Right? So this is very bold. We used alcohol inks, including a gold. I did some gold splatterware type of thing. And this is a ink. And then this is iron-on that we put on top. And so it looks different. It's muted. But if you like this muted sort of look, sort of weathered kind of look, then this might be the project for you. If you're saying, nah, Rita, it's really not worth it, I'm just going to use regular iron-on, we'll go over that as well. But, I just want you to see that you can do this, okay? You can indeed do this, and you don't have to worry like, oh, it's just not even going to work. It works, but you get different results. So I also, before I finish up, I want to show you something else. So when I was at Michael's in one of my many dozens of trips, I picked these up. They were on sale. They're unfinished wood Christmas ornaments, right? And they're unfinished. So you can, for instance, take, and I did cut out a lot of these snowflakes. So I'm going to just show you an example of this. This is that very dark look. You see? Let's make a few of these. I mean, you may then turn around and go, you know what? I don't like the look of this, but I just want you guys to see all the different experiments that you can do. And I know, people are like, oh, but the product is so expensive. But sometimes you happen upon some really awesome way to do things with stuff you already have in your stash. So let's have a look at how this works. This is unfinished wood, and it's nice and smooth. And I've just put our little snowflake cutouts on there. Let's get some parchment paper. I'm going to use the same settings, and I have it turned off. So let's put this on top here and hit 40 seconds. Oh, you needed to have a maker replaced? Your replacement Cricut maker. Diana, you had a problem with your maker? I did a ways back, had a problem, and they replaced it, but my Maker 3 is going strong, and I've been using it practically every day. So these are workhorse machines, I think, and relatively cost effective too. So, okay, here we go. There's the 40 seconds. Let's lift this up and see what we get. Now, did want to mention this is very hot, but look, isn't that kind of cool? Now, another look that you could go for here is you could cut out the snowflake and then remove the snowflake and make the background be the color. That's what I thought would be really great with the buffalo check, was if you had the background be all buffalo check and then you took the snowflake out and put that in there. There you go. So it does work. It does work as natural as it is, but and this is actually darker than this one, which is kind of cool. But it's a different it's a different result, okay? Yeah, they're great. They're great little, but I think what I would have done is instead of sort of, do I have one like that? All right, let me just show you what I was thinking of. So instead of just having the snowflake, it's not going to be big enough, but if you just used no snowflake in here, or you could take a snowflake from a different color. Do I have a snowflake from a different color? This looks like the same color. But anyway, you could take the snowflake and do it this way. Now, it's not big enough, but do it this way. And so the majority of the wood would be covered with your pattern, and then the snowflake would just be your unfinished wood. So we can try that out as well. So that's what I got for you for today. I hope that this has been educational, and I know that it's a different kind of result. But I think it's really kind of cool, and it's an interesting result, and if you are like, no, Rita, I want to have like really bright stuff, then you're probably better off using something like this, where it's iron on and it is on this alcohol ink. And by the way, I just want to show you these. These are from yesterday. These are all the different ones that I did yesterday. So there's, that one is the one I had. This one I haven't, I think this is the one that we actually painted yesterday. And this one we did. I love this one. So cool. This one as well, also really cool, but the E got a little messed up. I could probably go back and sort of heat that a little bit. And then there's another one of those. This Have Courage and Be Kind, but this one here was my original one, which I did put Krylon triple thick on, but I didn't wait, and I put this this vinyl on top, and it sort of, I don't know, kind of like moved into the vinyl, which I don't like. So I hope that you've learned something this week. I always use this week as a sort of like, you got a new machine, you're not really sure what you're going to do with it, but you're a creative person and you just kind of want to know what all the options are. So that's what I was trying to get at this week. So I hope you did learn something this week, and you're going to be a little more I don't know, experimental as you go into working with your machine. And also, you can see the different results. I would not call this a fail. I would call one of my original ones, this is a fail. But that I had the heat settings on too high and for too long. But this is just a different result. Okay. Okay, so Joyce is asking about the tiles. Did I seal them? I honestly don't think you need to seal them unless you're going to use them, I guess, for something. But I was thinking these are just great to sort of hang in, maybe on your wainscoting or something, like not hang, but sort of lay next to something, maybe at your desk. Or maybe you can get a little tripod holder type of a thing, like an easel that would hold it up. I wasn't planning on using these for anything except just sort of just being encouraging. So I don't necessarily think you have to seal it. If you do feel like you need to seal it, then do it once you know everything is super dry. Okay? Because that's what happened to me on this other one. Where is it? Is that I did not wait for it to be dry, and I used Krylon triple thick. And you see what happened? It got sort of the color got. No, and that's the cool thing about alcohol inks, is that you can get water on this and it shouldn't come off. The only thing that causes problems with alcohol inks is alcohol. So 91% alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, or sunlight. So if you were to put this, say, in a very high sunshiny place, the sunlight can fade it. And then that triple thick will help with the fading, but it's not recommended that you put it in like direct sunlight for a very long time, that sort of thing. But alcohol inks will not smear once they're dry. They will not smear unless you add alcohol to it, and then you can remove. And then I probably wouldn't eat off. Somebody's asking about food. I probably wouldn't eat off of these. I think that they're more just for decorations. But yeah, so I think maybe if you seal it, it might be okay if you're going to serve food on it. But I don't know. They're awful pretty, and I don't know that I would put food on them. All right. So, well, that's a great idea. So the alcohol ink is, yeah. What kind of wood are your boards? Okay. So a lot of people know that I have a contractor boyfriend. I hate that term, but anyway, one of the ways I met him, the first time I met him, no, but the second time I met him, he was working in a house nearby, and he was using this wood to finish up the inside of a house. This is a primed piece of wood. It's pine, and they come in very, very long pieces, and I have used them. He gives me little pieces, or sometimes he gives me longer ones that are like 32 inches, and we have used them. It works beautifully for iron on this stuff because it's kind of already primed. But I would like to in the new year start playing around with paint and stuff, and so this is just like a step closer to being less natural. 1 by 6. They are not really hard, really that size is what they're called. Oh, so these are called 1 by 6. It's a primed wood, and it does come in a very long piece. But he had like, he'd buy the long piece and use almost all of it, and so he had these other pieces, and I'm like, oh, I could use those, and that's it sort of took off from there. Okay, that is gonna do. Oh, she was talking about wood, not food. Okay. Hi, Deanne. Okay, and then as far as the sealant goes, it's by Cryon. Kryon. Kryon. Hey. Krylon. That's it. Krylon. And it's called triple thick. Okay? Triple thick. So there you go. That's if you want to do the sealing. And you could seal this as well if you wanted to. It would give it a sheen, a nice like sheen to it. So if you like these sort of muted colors, but you want it to be a little shiny, you could use your sealant on the top here. All right, everyone. That's going to do it for me. I hope you all have a wonderful new year. We are, let's see, it's almost 10 o'clock. So if you have to run, I know. So I will be back on Monday, and I'm going to do part 2 of this. And what I'm going to do is I am going to experiment with 2 different surfaces that will help to make the infusible ink stick better. The first one that I'm going to try is using polyacrylic, which is that same stuff we bought for the ornaments, and we're going to layer that on the wood so that it creates sort of like a base for the infusible ink, and it will allow the colors to sort of pop a little bit better. And then the second thing that I'm going to be using is called a laminating, a heat transfer laminating sheet. It's from Scott. I only just got it in the mail late yesterday, but we're going to try these thermal laminating pouches. Don't get the self laminating pouches, and you might have these around if you have a laminating machine. I don't have a laminating machine. Maybe I should have a laminating machine. Interesting. But when I was a kid, laminating was a big deal. Like, you take your social security card or whatever and you laminated it. I think I still have a very small version of my high school diploma that's laminated, which is really kind of cool. I always thought that was kind of cool. My sister really loves lamination because then you can't get it dirty, that sort of thing. Anyway, Happy New Year to everyone. We'll see you all on Monday, even though it's, I think, technically still the holiday. We'll still come back on Monday, and then we have a fun week planned after that. So I hope you can join me. Also, as far as the giveaways go, I'll make it so that This giveaway goes live on early Monday morning, so I can tell you all about that on Monday. Okay. And let's see. We had a laminator school. We taught it. We laminated everything. It's kind of fun, right? Isn't it fun? When is King's Day? I don't. Oh, King's Day is. It's always 12 days after Christmas. We call that day. It's the Epiphany, or you called Little Christmas as well. And yeah, that's coming up, isn't it? I hadn't thought of that. But Epiphany, the day of Epiphany, is how the 12 days of Christmas got their saying. Okay? And I know that I'm not supposed to laminate my social security card, but you have that thing for your whole life, and it's just a piece of paper. So I know people don't want you to laminate them. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Happy New Year, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and I'll see you again on Monday at 9 o'clock. Enjoy your festivities, whatever they may be. If they're just hanging around and just sort of crafting, I'm with you there. I don't go out on New Year's really at all. So there you go. They won't accept laminated SS. Really interesting. Well, you know what? I don't know if I can even find my social security card anymore. Anyway. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being a part of my year this year. I hope that we can continue to be friends in 2023 and have a lot of fun. Who knows what Cricket will come up with? It seems like every year they've got something new, and I'll be here for that. So I hope you can join me as well. Take care, everyone. No going out, no partying. Maybe who knows? I'll have a little bit of eggnog, but that's kind of it. All right, everybody, take care. I love you too, Renee. And I will see you all on the other side of the year. Bye.